Hi, BookTube. Welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner, and it's time to do a tag. So this is the end of the year book tag. I figured I'd go ahead and get it done. I don't know off the top of my head who created it, but I will post a link to the original video when I upload this one. So let's get started, shall we? Okay, so the first question is, are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? And I decided to pick two. First, I'm on a bit of a classics kick, so a lot of the books I've been buying are classics. So I'm classics on the brain. So the first book I chose was Bleak House by Charles Dickens. And I finally decided to start reading it during a time when I was able to focus on it, where there wasn't as many distractions, because I've started this book, I think, twice now. And possibly once, I don't remember. I want to say I've started it twice. And both times it's not been the best. Like, there's been too many distractions. The most recent one, the one I remember the most, is when we went to Florida for, back in, actually this month. So it's probably been a year or 2 years since that trip. A year or two since that trip. And the problem is, like, I was in my dad's truck in the back seat, and it gets a little bumpy sitting in the back in there. I don't know if that's with every car. But yeah, it was very bumpy. Maybe that's just trucks. I don't know. And then my grandma was with us, and my dad and my grandma were talking about stuff. He was telling her about the book he was reading, which was kind of slightly pleased me a little, because he doesn't read a lot. In fact, I'm gonna use the B word here. He thinks books are boring. So I was kind of proud to hear him talking about a work of fiction to my grandma. It was actually a Lisa C. book, Peony in Love. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm talking about, like, so it was kind of cool to hear him talk about it. And even if they're not talking about a book, my grandma is a very curious person and likes to talk to my dad, especially, like, lately, the political climate right now. She, asked him a lot about that, his opinions on that, because, and then my mom likes listening to talk radio, particularly, like, she likes listening to Dr. Laura. I can't stand the woman. She's mean and rude, but I do understand, I kind of understand why it keeps my mom awake, because you just want to react to it and get angry or agree with her. And so that was, and then, at that time, we were in Florida, so, it was Florida, and we were on vacation, and then Terry from there came in the middle of the vacation to stay with us for a few days. And then we went to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. And yes, I'm bringing up Harry Potter. I know we're trying not to talk about Harry Potter that much, because of the whole J.K. Rowling crap. But, J.K. Rowling isn't the series. Yeah, she wrote it, but you know what? People can still love that series without her being. And I know everybody's different. But anyway, so yeah, I think it was just bad timing, and I needed to read when I wasn't distracted, because, it's not. His topics aren't super, not all his books are super dense and heavy as far as plots. But, well, actually they kind of are. But the plots are, it's not always like talking about, racism or anything like that. That's what I mean by heavy plots. It's not talking about serious, like super serious topics, societal things. Although he does comment on his society. His books do that a lot. So basically, in case you don't know about this particular one, I'm going to see if I remember. I'm going by what Katie from Books and Things said about what it's about. So there's a court case, Jarndyce and Jarndyce, and we're trying to. It has been going on for a long time, and people are trying to determine who has the right to the inheritance, who's going to get the inheritance, and it obviously has not been resolved. And we have one of our main characters is Esther, and Jarndyce took Esther in to be a companion to his wards, Ada and Richard. Which I did not realize that she was meant to be a companion. I thought she was one of the wards, but nope, she's actually a companion to his actual ward. So I think are like his distant cousins or something. And some of the narrative is in her perspective, and I gotta admit it's easier to follow her narrative because it's in first person perspective. And the only other two novels that I've actually finished by Dickens, other than A Christmas Carol, were both in first person perspective, so I'm used to that. Although I'm not struggling as much with A Tale of Two Cities, which I'm currently rereading because I read it years ago. But yeah, I'm really I'm farther. I think I'm farther along than I was last time. I'm really enjoying it. It's a dense book, and I feel like I should start it now, or at least by November, or maybe the last week of October, because unless something happens with the pandemic and we get under another lockdown, which I'm praying that does not happen, my sister and her little family, will be coming for Christmas, so that will be a bit distracting, and I only will get any good reading done when I'm in bed, so, and then a little bit when I'm at work during my 15-minute break, which is not much. And then, when the kids go take a nap, if they take naps still, although I think they're past that now, but except for, their sister, because she was just born. So I need to get it read, like, now. I should start it now, because, like I said, around Christmas time, there might be a bit of a distraction. Although they probably won't come until, like, that Christmas week. So they probably won't come. So I could still have December to get this read. So. And then I also decided to also throw in a modern book that I started, and that is Stephen King's Needful Things. So with this particular one, I was really excited to read this, but I'm the type of person who does not like the things that I'm most interested and most excited about, I don't like to get to right away. Like, that's how I am even when eating dinner. Like, when I'm eating the meal, I'll eat the stuff that I'm not as excited, although, I will still eat the main course, like the chicken or the fish or whatever. I'll still always eat that first. But, I always skip around to the stuff that I'm like, let's get this done and over with. Let's just eat this stuff first, in the case of food, and then get to the good stuff later. It's the same way with books. Not that I wasn't excited about the other book I was choosing, but that I was choosing either this or this, either this book or that book. It's not that I wasn't intrigued by that book and didn't want to read it, it's just I was more excited to read this one. And this one, I kept thinking of Leland Gaunt as being like Mr. Gold from Once Upon a Time. Especially without the romance, without him being the Beast from Beauty and the Beast, or being like more like full on Rumple, but as Mr. Gold, without like the human ties. But it was either this or reading The Stand, and like I said, I was excited. I was intrigued to read The Stand. It was just I was like at the time I was thinking more about this book, but I also did not want to get to this book right away. So I asked on my Facebook book group. I did a poll, and people voted on The Stand first. So I didn't reading that one, but that's a big book. That's the mammoth of a book. So I did not get to it, but I did not finish it. I did read a good amount of it, a good chunk of it, but I probably won't read it before I don't know if it's a show or a movie. I can't remember if it's a show or a movie, but I probably won't get to it before that comes out. So I want to come back to this one and read this one by the end of the year. And this one, I think I could potentially read without distraction, even if there's distractions. Because one, look at that print. It's pretty big. I mean, it's not huge, but it's big print. And his books are very much, they're not they're not as wordy as Dickens is, so it's a little more straight to the point and kind of in a very blunt writing style, but it's not staccato like Hemingway. That's the only way I can think of to describe Hemingway's writing style, because I've only read Farewell to Arms, but still. So in case you don't know what this one is about, it's about this, you're in, of course, in a small town in Maine. I think it's, I want to say it's, does it say, Castle Rock. It's one of his books that takes place at Castle Rock, Maine. And this is a small town, and this new shop comes into town, called Needful Things. And the shop owner is Leland Gaunt, and he claims that anything you absolutely need, he will have. And and it's not stuff that's like food or water. It's like stuff that you think you need. Like, there's one woman who, there was an Elvis vinyl portrait thing that this woman believed that she needed that portrait, that picture, because, it made her happy. And in return, when he gives you these things, you have to do something for him. And it's a lot, and it's weird because they're little pranks on people that seem harmless on the surface, and they're more just annoying. But I imagine the pranks are gonna get a little more worse and worse and more hurtful, and basically this town is gonna fall into chaos. So, if I was still into writing fan fiction, I could probably do a more evil version of a more sinister version of Mr. Gold, although apparently from what I've heard, he got pretty bad later on in the series, and people did not like him, and people hated him, I think. But, I could do a retelling of Storybrooke, Maine with this book, because like I said, I kind of think of Mr. Gold with Leland Gaunt a little bit. And this is coming from a person who's a fan and will defend his character. But, and I admit I'm biased. I admit that I'm biased to his character, so maybe I feel like my opinion is probably a little colored. And I try to, as far as that show goes, I always try to, But anyway, I'm not talking about Once Upon a Time. That's a whole other can of worms that I'm not going to open. Okay, so question number 2. Yes, I'm finally on question number 2. Although this is not as bad as the first time I filmed this. I got off topic a lot, even more so. Okay. Do you have an autumnal book to transition into by the end of the year? And again, I picked 2. So both times I thought about my answers for these questions. I had different answers both times. So I just went ahead and used both those answers. So my original plan was to read this particular book by the end of October, and that is Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. And this is I think an alternate history set in France, where witches are real, and you have a witch who's just run away from her coven, and in this world they have witch hunters, because witches are real, there are witch hunters. So she ends up in this town, and no one knows that she's a witch there, and due to circumstances, she is forced to marry a witch hunter. But he doesn't know that she's a witch. And I think it's a hate-to-love romance, because they don't like each other, even though and, see, I'm apprehensive about it, because, like I said, I hear it's a paranormal romance. And I like that kind of stuff to an extent. That's why, and, I got it, so, because I am intrigued by it, especially because witches were my first paranormal fantasy entity being that I, was a big fan of, because, Charmed was the first Charmed and Sabrina and all that. The 90s show, not the new one. Obviously, because I'm a lot older than the, we're kind of the first adult fantasy, well, not Sabrina, but Charmed anyway. It was the first kind of adult fantasy, and both those shows are about witches. So I got it was my first fantasy and being that I got into. So I've always had a soft spot for witches. So I'm gonna read this. I wanted to read this in the last month of October. I believe there are gonna be 3 books. I believe it's gonna be a trilogy, and the second book, Blood and Honey, just came out. I had on my Amazon wishlist, but then I took it off because there are other books I'm more intrigued in getting right now, and I want to read this book first before I get Blood and Honey. Which I know that kind of goes against my original thing, which is that with series, I want to make sure I can get access to the second book. Which I guess it doesn't entirely go against it because the second book is out or coming out, so I can easily get it. So I won't have necessarily. So I guess it's still okay if I read this now, and because I can get the second book. So there's that one, and then the other one I chose is, and I guess in a way, like I said, I'm reading this the last week in October. I'm thinking about reading it into November, so I guess it's technically, and I think winter doesn't officially start until the 21st or the 22nd of November. Well, yeah, I guess, forget that. It does apply. And then the other one and this is another one that I've started, so it could apply to the first question too, which is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. This is another alternate history story, which I love alternate history stories, that have paranormal fantasy elements. But this is a story about what if witches and warlocks were real, or magicians as they call them in this world, and it's set during, I want to say, it's at the dawn of the 19th century. Napoleonic Wars, that's what it is, the Napoleonic Wars. So it's actually more along the lines of when Count of Monte Cristo took place. So the Napoleonic Wars, I knew it was a war. It was set during a war of some kind. And this one magician, Mr. Norrell, who's an older guy, he's a traditionalist. He is using magic. The people want him to use magic to help them fight in the Napoleonic Wars. And he comes across a younger magician, Jonathan Strange, who has a new way of doing things. And I think they kind of, he's his apprentice. I think he's Mr. Norrell's apprentice at first. But then I think things are going to change, and he's probably not going to like how Mr. Norrell does things. And wants to rebel. And there's also fairies, I believe, in this one. There are fairies involved, if I remember correctly. But I feel like this could be both an autumnal and a winter read. I don't know. I can't pinpoint exactly why, but I think that I get the autumnal and winter feels with this book. Like, I think it would be a good transition through that season. As you can see, part of my problem is a lot of my books for these answers are kind of chunky. I still gotta read, Count of Monte Cristo and stuff, and I also want to read Dr. Thorne, too, this year, before the end of the year. But, anyway. Okay, so next, question number 3. Is there a new release you're still waiting for? Now, this question confuses me, because I don't know if it's, talking about, it just says, and I copy and pasted this, so I'm guessing the question is accurate. It says, is there a new release? It doesn't say anticipated releases. So I was confused at first because it was like, are they asking about books that haven't come out yet, or books that have come out that you just haven't gotten to yet? So I said, I did think about a book that hasn't come out. It hasn't even brought up yet. I think it's still being looked at by the publisher, or might be on ebook or something. But I know that Katie from Books and Things, she works at a publishing company, and there's a book called Charlotte, and I thought I found the book, but I don't think it's the same one. But it might be. I wish I could find Katie from Books and Things. I guess I could type her channel name and then Charlotte. But the book's called Charlotte. It's about Charlotte Lucas when she marries Mr. Collins and her life with Mr. Collins that she talked about. I remember her talking about it, but I don't remember the author's name or anything like that. So I tried to look it up, but I didn't have any luck. I mean, there was one book that might be it, but I don't know. I don't think it is. I'm not sure, though. But that one hasn't come out. It might have come out in England if it, But that's an anticipated release. I have to look that up, or maybe look up Katie's video or something. But the other two books that are already, I think they're already out, I just haven't bought them yet, are Ruthless Gods, the sequel to Wicked Saints. I loved Wicked Saints. I'm one of the people who did enjoy it, who thought it was a great book. And the sequel to Gilded Wolves, which is called, I have the document right here, the Silver Serpents. Which I don't know what either one is going to have in either one of those. I just know they're sequels to two books that I loved. So I need to get those before I start to lose interest in the books, because that seems to happen, where I start to lose interest because people, like, I respect and I appreciate and I understand that authors take a long time, and I'm one of those fans that is determined not to complain, but I also get, as a fangirl, being anxious for a sequel to a book you've been waiting for a long time. But I know that it takes a while to get your sequel going and, write it. Like, there's even more pressure with your sophomore novel, because your first novel, especially if it did really well, or even if it didn't do as well as you hoped, you still just hope that the second one will do better. But that's the, problem with series in me, is that eventually, even if I enjoy it, unless I absolutely am in love with the story, I might lose interest in the sequel, because it will authors do take quite a long time to publish the next book. Okay, so next. So yeah, Ruthless Gods, Silver Serpents, and possibly a book called Charlotte, about Charlotte Lucas. Okay, that's we're now on question number 4. What are 3 books you want to read for the end of the year? Okay, what books did I pick? Okay, so I did put a book on here that was on one of the books from the first question as my answer. For this one. I mean, you gotta pick 3 books, so. Okay, so first I said Once Upon a River, but I do want to read The 13th Tale first. So I'm gonna read The 13th Tale in probably not until November. Read that one, then in December I'll read this one. And now I know that this is not a direct sequel to The 13th Tale, but like with The Starless Sea, I want to reread The Night Circus first. And in both cases, I do want to reread those books first anyway, so I just wanted to reread them first before I got to the author's newest work. So, although The Night Circus would have been perfect for this month, I feel like. But yeah, I want to read The 13th Tale before I get to her newest. And I don't have Bellman in Black, which was her sophomore novel, and that was good too. It just was not my favorite, so I ended up getting rid of that one. Donating it, I should say. I feel bad for saying get rid of. I should just say donate, but it's hard. It's a habit I've developed to refer to, books I've taken off my shelf and filed away somewhere. It's just easy for me to say get rid of. But from what I know, it's basically it's a story within a story. You have these people are in a tavern, hanging out, doing their thing, and then all of a sudden this man and this little girl shows up, and I think the man is dead, and the little girl appears to be dead too, but then all of a sudden she wakes up, and no one knows how or why, but everyone for some reason now all of a sudden wants to claim the little girl as theirs. And as you can see, there's a bookmark in here, so I have read a little bit of the book. Oh, there's my other We're All Mad Here. I have two We're All Mad Here bookmarks. One that has kind of a little sparkly design, and then I have this one that's kind of plain. I did not realize that. That's where it ended up. I love these bookmarks. I like the wooden bookmarks, and they don't have this part is not a tassel, so I won't lose it and it won't fall apart as easily. And as long as I don't untie it, which I don't see why I would. Also just bored and not thinking about it. And then they're wooden, so they're not as easily, like with those regular paper bookmarks, even with plastic on them, they can still kind of tear a little bit, or like and I don't have one with me. Oh, well, actually, here's an example. Okay, so they don't fall. Like this one, like you can kind of see like where the little white creeping through, and they're bending. And then look, the tassels are gone. This used to have tassels, so they're cute, and I like what they say on them. I like how people put stuff on them, but they more easily fall apart. That's why I like the wooden bookmarks. And then the one I have, and let me just go ahead and show you. This is, like I said, this is the other book I want to read this year. Like this one is like, look at this one. It's a little less. It's not paper. It's kind of a plastic. And also, I love the like three-dimensional design on this one, so these don't fall apart as easily either. And then in another book in here, I'll show you when I get to that question, I have a metal bookmark, a metal bookmark. But I'm going to read these two, and then the other book I need to get to is Valor. So this was a series I had the first book for the longest time, and I finally finished it, but when I was finally finished with it, I kept looking at books about it, and they never had the other books. And of course, the used bookstore I go to, and I don't even think Black Castle would have them if I were still looking. I did not see these books there. I didn't even see Malice there. And then, I don't know if the Barnes & Noble in is it Fayetteville or Raleigh? He's in Raleigh. There's a Barnes & Noble in like Raleigh or somewhere. I don't know if it's still in business because Barnes & Noble has kind of had a rocky. Lately, it's a very rocky situation because like I know the ones in Florida are still open because Terry has been to those. And then there's like, but I remember the one in a mall that we used to go to when we were still living in Maryland, I think that one closed at some point, and then the one in Charleston closed. But some of them are still open, so I don't know if the one I want to say it's in Raleigh is still open or not. I do not know. But I should look it up, though. I should look it up. That might be where, I don't know if that's where my parents, honestly, no, they're in I think they're in Fayetteville. And I don't know if that's where but anyway. So I finally got the second and the third book for Christmas in either 2018 or 2019 from Terry from Florida as a Christmas gift. Because I finally made sure that she saw which ones were the most important, and the second and third book in this series were very important. And then the fourth book is on there now too. But I still have not gotten to it. I mean, I did start when that Christmas we went after Christmas to see my sister, so I brought the book. I ended up bringing the book with me, but I didn't get very far. And I got to chapter. I don't remember what chapter I got to, but I'm I'm thinking about starting over anyway. But yeah, it's been, I feel guilty because I've been anticipating these books, and I still have not gotten to it. Like, I started, but then I didn't get very far. Like, I want to say chapter 4 or 6, because I usually read up to even chapters when I stop reading, unless, like, I'm falling asleep and I'm in bed, or, like, we're going running errands and I have to get out of the car, or, like, I have to, like, be somewhere, like, at work or something. But yeah, so I need to finally read this, at least get a good chunk into it, because this is another chunky one. I picked there's a lot of chunky books around in here that I need to get to. So yeah, these are the 3 that I need to read by the end of the year, and, don't lose them. Once Upon a River, Bleak House, and Valor. Oh, and this is the second book in the Faithful and the Fallen series, in case you want to know. Which, it's a really good series. It's a fantasy, it's a little tropey, but it has a lot of, it kind of turns some of the tropes on their head, like Brandon Sanderson does. And there's giants, so if you're interested in giants taking a bigger role in fantasy, they do in this book, in this series, in the Faithful and the Fallen series. And it does use the prophecy trope of, someone being the chosen hero, the Morning Star, and then someone being the chosen villain, the Black Sun, and you have a prince who thinks he's the fallen star, the Morning Star, although I don't know if he is or not. I have suspicions that he's not, because I think it would be too easy if he was, and too predictable. And like I said, I think, this author is trying to turn the tropes on their heads a little bit. Okay, so that was question number 4. Question number 5. Okay, this is where I'm going to talk about the other bookmark. Okay, so the question is there a book you think that could still shock you? And I had trouble with this one. Originally, I thought about saying Dracula, because I hadn't read in a long time. I even could say, like, A Tale of Two Cities, but then I felt like, was that fair? Because I already read them once before. But it has been a long time. So I decided to say, because I wanted to avoid saying classics again for an answer, I went ahead and said one that I only know a little bit about, and that is Peace and Turmoil. It's a second book in a trilogy. I think it's gonna be a trilogy. Maybe not. Actually, it might be a series. I don't know what this author intends to do, but Elliot Brooks is a booktuber. Actually, she's a big fan of Brandon Sanderson. She loves fantasy. She reads both YA and adult fantasy. Like I said, she's a big fan of Brandon Sanderson, and she introduced me indirectly to the Witcher series. I'm sure she introduced a lot of people to the Witcher series. So she wrote her own fantasy. I love this cover design. I gotta give props to the person who designed her cover. I think that person is also on YouTube or BookTube. And I do not know a lot about what this book is about. Except for, there's magical, it does use the trope of magical objects. And, oh, hi, Rascal. I think he's gonna see my dog in a minute. Rascal, come here. Okay, or not. Never mind, I thought he was gonna come up here. He really likes seeing this church so he can look out the window, but the window is closed. The blinds are closed right now because, it's raining. Although, I think it's gonna stop by this afternoon. Rascal, what are you doing? Rascal? Do you want to go outside? Every time he starts sniffing around, I get nervous that he's gonna leave me a little present. Okay, so I don't know a lot about this. Like I said, so I'm feeling like maybe this could potentially surprise me. Rascal, you wanna? This is the metal bookmark. Come on, good boy. You can see his butt and his tail, or his tail at least. He's so soft. So this is the metal bookmark. You can't really tell, but it has a list of 50 books to read before you die. And I've read some of these. Like, I listened to Lord of the Rings on audiobook earlier this year. 1984, I read by George, and I read Pride and Prejudice, but I bought a new copy of it, one of the Barnes & Noble classics. Grapes of Wrath I have not read. To Kill a Mockingbird I read when I was like 10, and that might have been a bad timing to read a book like that, a heavy book like that. Although a lot of people read that when they were kids. So, Jane Eyre I've read 3 times now. Love it. Wuthering Heights I read, I don't know if it was earlier this year. I think it was earlier this year. Yeah. This year. Passage to India I have not read. Lord of the Flies I have not read. Hamlet we read in my British Lit class, but I do want to reread it. Bend on the River I'm not familiar with. The Great Gatsby I've read twice. Catcher in the Rye I've read twice. Great Gatsby I love, by the way. Catcher in the Rye I don't love. The Bell Jar I've read was not, I thought it was kind of interesting, but not my favorite. Brave New World, I attempted to reread it, but then I realized, okay, this is kind of boring. I'm not getting into it. That was one of those ones I had to read for high school. The Diary of Anne Frank, I read that years ago, and I feel like I should reread that one too. But I'm trying not, I want to read other historical periods, not just World War II. Don Quixote, I have not read, but I have it. The Bible, yes, I have not read the Bible. Canterbury Tales, hate it. I am bitter towards it. We read it the same year we read, where is it? Hamlet. That's the same year we read Hamlet. Ulysses I never read. Oh, are you cold, Rascal? You cold little boy? Ulysses I've never read. I don't even have that one. I'm apprehensive about that one. The Quiet American. Not familiar with Birdsong. Not familiar with Money. I'm not familiar with Harry Potter, of course. Moby Dick, I attempted to read it, but did not go well. I ended up DNFing. I got bored. Went to the Willows. I've never actually read, but I've seen bits and pieces of the movie. His Dark Materials trilogy. I have read that one. That was okay. I loved the first book, but the rest of the children got a little too weird in my opinion. I mean, I get what Philip Pullman's intention, but for me personally, I'm not a big fan of it. Anna Karenina, I have not read it, but I am getting a new edition of it, because the other one seems a little too flimsy, although I do like how it really is an old book, not just one with a title that refers to it as an old book, but it really is an old book. Alice's Adventure Wonderland, I read it along with Through the Looking Glass. I'm going to reread it, and I thought about rereading it for this month long for Victober. I still have not gone to yet. Rebecca, I read that. That's the one I want to reread. And I want to get a new copy of that one too. The Kirstensen of the Dog in the Nighttime. I've heard of that one. I have not read it yet. I think I saw that one in the library. On the Road, probably will never read. Heart of Darkness will never read. The Way We Live Now, I have that one. And I haven't read it. The Outsider, sounds familiar. That people use that title a lot, I guess, because there's 3 books that have referred to, like The Outsider by Stephen King, and then this one. The Outsider by Albert Camus. I've never heard of that one. I've heard of books called The Outsider, but not that one. The Color Purple. My sister has that one, so I could technically borrow it from her when we can start. This is all over. This pandemic. Life of Pi. I've seen bits and pieces of the movie, but I've never read the book. At the moment, just not interested. Frankenstein, of course, I read that one, and I recommend you read that one because sun's trying to come out, I think. Because the movies don't do it justice. Especially with the creature, they kind of ruin the creature. I think in the book, because the creature is not some brutish monster with, with a square head and things in his head. He's not dumb or anything. He's a very intelligent, very emotional creature. And he's not actually called the Frankenstein monster. It's just the creature. Dr. Frankenstein. That's what Frankenstein is referring to. The title is Dr. Frankenstein, Victor, and the creature bolts. Bolts is the word called. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word. The bolts. He does not have bolts in his head. He just made of body parts of dead bodies, which is weird. But the guy is weird. Victor's a weird guy, and it's like a little, and it's like, who's really the villain here? But he doesn't, Dr. Frankenstein or the creature. He just blames the creature for ruining his life, and the creature he doesn't even give the creature a name. He kind of abandons it. So definitely recommend the book. Don't go by what you see in the movies. Okay. The War of the Worlds, never read. I'm apprehensive with reading something like The War of the Worlds because it's sci-fi, and I'm weary with sci-fi. Like, I don't know which sci-fis I really like. I like superhero stories, but more in movie form. Okay, Men Without Women. I want to read at least another Hemingway, just to see for sure. But I do not like his writing style, and he's a bit misogynistic. Gulliver's Travels I read last year. It was one of those books we were supposed to read for my British Lit class, but we spent so much time in Canterbury Tales that we totally did not read that one, which is really annoying because it's like, I don't care about Canterbury Tales. I mean, yeah, they were amusing, but I was more interested in Gulliver's Travels and Hamlet. So that kind of course, A Christmas Carol. I read that, and now I have a new copy of that one. Huckleberry Finn, I read that one. Did not like it. Robinson Crusoe, I have not read it. And I don't know if I would like that one. I'm gonna have to look that one up because there are some of those English library editions, and that's one of them at my Books A Million. That I don't know if I would want to get it, or is it worth getting that one? One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Kesey. I attempted that one, but just lost interest. Catch-22. I don't know if I would get that. Count of Monte Cristo, guys, I already love that one. I just haven't finished it. I'm in the middle of it now. Memoirs of a Geisha. I'm weary of that one. Just some things I've heard. Divine Comedy. I am reading Dante's Inferno, so I don't know if I'll ever read Divine Comedy or not. And The Picture of Dorian Gray, I just read it for the second time and finished it earlier this month, and I loved it. It's my favorite. But yeah, this is metal, so it's not as easily breakable. But yeah, I think this book, Peace and Turmoil, could surprise me because I don't know a lot about it. Okay, we're done with that one. Sorry, I just wanted to kind of go through what was on that bookmark again. Okay, and then the last question number 6. Have you already started making reading plans for 2021? And I thought about that. I'm going to get something. You stay. Do not move. I'm coming back. I need... Okay, so I've started making plans for 2021. So I'm not good at keeping up with bullet journals. It's just so much easier to update on Goodreads and to update I've gone to the graphs documents on Word or on Mac. I don't know if it comes with Mac. I think it comes with Mac. And um, I've been working on, so it's just easy to update those graphs because you just have to type it in. You don't have to create graphs. And I'm not good at art, being an artist. I suck at art. Like at drawing, stuff like that. So, but then I decided to try something a little different, see if I can keep up with it. And that is, I've created like front pages for each month, and then put lined paper in between each month. And then I'm gonna write down the books I'm reading. I'm gonna do like I don't know if I'll do a rating system or not. I might try to get a little more. Try that rating system where I attempted to do in 2019 or 18, I think, where like I try to really get more specific with my ratings and like put a number like 1 through 5 or 1 through 10. 1 being the lowest and 10 or 5 being the highest. But I'm not good with that kind of stuff. But I think I'm still gonna try it again. And then, do like maybe do, like I said, graphs and stuff like that. I asked my mom to take me to either Hobby Lobby or Michael's because she was already planning. I know at some point she was gonna go to get get some more stuff for the box of Halloween themed stuff to send to my nephews and my niece. Although my niece is only a few months old, so it wouldn't mean as much to her as it would to Harrison and Daniel. And I asked her if she had already set that up and explained to her what I wanted to do, and she, decided surprisingly was like, "Oh yeah, let's go now." As soon as I asked her if we could do it, and so I asked about getting like stickers because I can't draw stickers to put on the cover pages. So, and she offered to get this certain kind of paper that's a little thicker for each cover. So I took my list document because I created a document listing the books on my shelf. I kept it in the binder and which is this list. And I list them in alphabetical order because I'm anal like that. I'm one of those people who loves to organize. And I have a whole bunch of documents typed here, like lists and stuff. But then, okay, so the first page, it's not one of those lists, is my favorites. Books that are my favorites. So I like this light purple color. And I have, like, my mom got labels and showed me how to do it. So I wrote the word in favorites and fancy, and I tried to be fancy with it. And although this top one looks a little bit better than the bottom around the word favorites. So I have Harry Potter series, The Shining, Jane Eyre, Star of the Sea, The Great Gatsby, David Copperfield, The Night Circus, Misery, A Christmas Carol, The Lunar Chronicles, Crime and Punishment, Rebecca, It, and If We Were Villains. These are some of my favorite books. And then this, of course, has a backside, so I could add more. And then there's a little bit more space on this one. Like, there's a couple more spots where I could put more books. So I have that page, and then I have made a January page, and I decided to make that in blue. So I tried to get fancy with the writing and use markers, and because it's still winter in January, so I put snowflakes and the Winter Wonderland sticker and the Christmas stickers with and then warm wishes as well. So there's not as much on this page. I wanted to save some of them. I didn't want to use all of it. So there's lined paper And then I did, for February, because February is Valentine's Day month, I have all these Valentine's Day stickers. And I also put the sticker carriage there, the Cinderella carriage, because I thought that would be kind of cute, you know, would kind of fit it. And then you have March is St. Patrick's Day month. Although someone once made, you know, was like made it clear, St. Patrick's Day and St. Patty's Day are different. Patrick's and Patty are different. So I'll use St. Patrick's stickers. This also was my parents' birthday months. I used up a lot of birthday stickers for my birthday, March. I need to put some sticker there because that is falling out. Okay, and then April, and now I forgot to grab Easter related stickers. So I did have, so there's not a lot of April, like Easter related stuff on here, but there are flowers, and there's a couple eggs, and then there's a fairy, and then I put 2 swans and a butterfly sticker. Don't underestimate stickers, you know. I know they're, and then here's, I think stickers are just as great as, you know, I mean, not everybody has the talent to draw like you know, I don't draw. So it's kind of nice to have ability to. This is my birthday month, and originally I was going to put some of my favorite books on this page, but then I have a lot of favorite books. And I just decided to include a favorites page because this is just my writing, my books binder. Okay, so next, this is my month. I have 2 balloons of 2 of my favorite colors, yellow and purple. I was going to do a green, but, and then I have one of the fairies because I like fantasy. A lot of sunflowers. You can see I like movies just as much as books. There's a horse, but the horse did not come off appropriately, so the horse sticker is a bit messed up. And then I tried to get fancy with writing the month name, and then like I did some birthday reference stickers, like a cupcake, and of course it fell out. I'll get that later, because this video is already really long because I've been rambling too much. Okay, let's see. Okay, so that was May, and I need more line paper in May. Okay, so then June, I made June dark blue. I used the dark blue paper for June. I don't know why, I just picked it. It just felt like summer, because the sky and everything. So all these references to summer, like sunglasses, it's ice cream, and, you know, flip-flops, lemonade, pink lemonade, some fruit. And then July, I did think, I wondered if I should just use red for July, but I chose yellow because I got another summer. Although I guess I could have made yellow my June. But I have watermelon, American flag, like all these reference stickers to 4th of July stickers, a palm tree. I think these are supposed to be fireworks around the July, the little July. And the watermelon, because a lot of people like watermelon. And then August, I just decided to use orange for August as well as October. Again, a little bit of the other stickers that are left. Although I still didn't use all of them. I try not to use all of them. So, this is Be Fabulous, ice cream cone with the word love. Again, flip-flop, sunglasses, a flower, and a butterfly, and more flowers. Okay, so. And then September, I went ahead and decided to just use this light yellow color. Although this would have been pretty good for April probably, but I decided to use the purple for April. So again, I decided to go ahead and use the tickets, the ticket stubs, because you know the fair, going to the fair every year. Because fair usually is in sunflowers and leaves because fall is going to be starting, and then the only school-related ones that I have are, because you do start school in September, but I didn't have any back-to-school type stickers. So, an apple, and then a pencil. That's where September is written. And like I said, welcome to fall, which is because it's the beginning of fall. And then October, of course. I didn't have any, surprisingly, I did not have any Halloween ones. Specifically ones that said Happy Halloween or anything like that, or like skull and crossbones or anything like that. So, but there's a lot of leaves. And I used some sunflowers and, of course, a lot of pumpkins. And I decided to use this little scarecrow dude. And then November, again, a lot of fall-related stuff like leaves in reference to harvest time. And I love fall. And again, some of the pumpkin stickers. And I don't know what this is. Yeah, this. I don't know what this is. And then the closest to Thanksgiving is this thing at the bottom that says "Give thanks." That's the closest to Thanksgiving that I saw that I already had. Sorry, rascal. And then the last one, since I already used this reddish color, I decided to use green for December. So again, the snowflakes. I used other snowflakes, and then a pine tree, or those trees that we use for Christmas. I think they're pine trees. And then this is another month where I went a little crazy. Of course, there's ornaments. The word December, I traced, and then a little deer, a little reindeer up on the, and then words like Santa and ho ho and Merry Christmas and believe in Christmas and caroling and joy. So, oh yep, there's the sun. It's here. So that's, as of right now, that's what I've worked on for my reading plans. I have thought about like I said, I thought about books that I will probably get to, but I don't want to write down because I think part of my problem is I plan too far ahead on what books I want to read, and then by the time it gets to that point, I'm like no longer interested in those books. Like I want to read something else because I come across something else. So I think what I need to wait until closer. So by the end of December, I can start thinking about what specifically I want to read. Because I don't, like I said, I don't want to plan too early. Because then I will change my mind. So that was a long video, as usual, because I ramble. So if you guys want to do this tag and not ramble as much as I do, then feel free to do it. And it's a fun tag, and to get you to start thinking about the end of the year, your end of the year plans, and maybe even think about your plans for next year. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, click subscribe if you have not already, and click the bell notification below if you want to be notified when I post new videos. And, I hope you guys are staying safe and still enjoying your reading and wearing your mask, washing your hands, and doing your part in all these horrible situations we're going through this year. And I will talk to y'all later. Bye!